What is the best mental health advice you were ever given? You're not in control of anything but yourself and your actions, so don't try and make the world bend to you. You'll only exhaust yourself and it won't work anyway. You can check the lock on your door as many times as you like. It won't stop someone with a crowbar getting in through your window. If your best friend came to you saying they were having trouble in the same circumstances you're dealing with, would you be as hard on them as you are on yourself? Would you stay friends with someone who treated you the way you treat yourself? What would it be like if you treated yourself with the same kindness and consideration as you would your best friend? Why not actually do that? Allow yourself to feel how you're feeling. I get caught up in how I want to feel or how I think I should be feeling that I never really processed my emotions properly and dragged out grief etc. longer than I needed to. I now remind myself that I shouldn't think I'm stupid or pathetic for still being upset about something. This is what I do when I am stuck in a situation and I need to reevaluate. What is the problem that you are facing? What's the worst that can happen? Whatever it is, get prepared for it mentally. How do I improve on the worst outcome? Once you improve on it, how do I get better from here? This was in a book I read when I was a teen and it has always helped me. If you stress too much about something before it happens, you basically put yourself through it twice. Okay, this one hit home. I work from home but booked time off at the end of the workday and went for my vaccine. On my way back, I stopped at a store but one of my superiors saw me go in. It was within 20 minutes of the end of my work day and would take me that long to get home and start working again, so I figured what's the point. She watched me like a hawk though. I feel like I may be confronted about this come Monday, but I'm not sure. I'd just tell the truth and say that I wouldn't believe I'd be back in time to work. Honestly, even if I would have been back by the end of the day, it would have only left me minutes. I'm nervous, loss of appetite, feeling off etc. I'm as worried as if I'm being reprimanded right now, but it may not happen as she may come to the same conclusion as I did. This isn't stopping me from stressing though. We'll see what happens. Fuck, it works great when I have to go to an important exam. It calms me for some reason. Edit, grammar. Battled mental health and addiction issues for years. Detox, psych wards and finally, a long stint in rehab. Everything changed for me when I realized nothing really matters. All the stress and pressure caused by thinking I have to live a certain way or achieve some level of wealth, success or whatever used to eat me alive. Trying to cope with damage caused by past traumas through self-medication. Trying to be something I'm not. Fuck it. I found peace when I realized that I'm a grain of sand on the beach of life. My life is so insignificant in this universe that there's nothing to even worry about. Simplify your life as much as possible. Cut toxic motherfuckers out. Eat more healthy and take care of yourself. Never make big plans. Happiness is temporary, transient and not easily attainable. Peace is right there waiting for you when you just say, fuck it. Wasn't meant as mental health advice, but once while chatting to a coworker about our lives they stopped and said, "You've had a really interesting life." I'd never thought of my life like that before and I regularly think about it when suffering from depression. The person who said that probably doesn't remember saying it or how much it means to me. Tell your friend that next time. This is how you make sure the safety is off, then pull the trigger. True story. I was in the darkest, ugliest place in my existence, loaded a rifle, and went to shoot myself. The safety was on, and I didn't know it. When the weapon didn't go off, I tried to strangle it. Clicking the safety off, the weapon discharged, kicked back, and knocked the wind out of me. I told the person who made the comment as a "I have a friend" story and got the above statement. From that point forward, when I have a bad day, I think of that person's face, and in my head I scream, "Fuck you." It's okay to feel like shit, but it's not okay to feel like shit for weeks and weeks. That's called depression and there are tons of biological factors involved, so consider getting help from a specialist. Don't fall into the rabbit hole of "this is real, my problems are real, it's not depression, I'm not sick." The sooner you accept that some people are there, yes, even paid, to fix your perception of reality to a more healthy way, the sooner you'll recover. Acceptance is the first, but hardest step to face. MO. You are quick to aggression because where you grew up, third world, you had to be aggressive to survive. Other people, in a first world country, will never understand that. But it doesn't make you bad. It made you a survivor. It made you survive something that they likely wouldn't. The thing to remember now is that you're no longer there, and you can let that guard down and just enjoy life. That acceptance from another that I'd never had for myself did a world of difference. I cried a lot that day. Lots of depression and anxiety here. Advice I give to myself and others: there are the things in life we can control, and the things we can't control. Focus on the things you can control. Bringing yourself stress and anxiety over the stuff you can't control will just bring you misery. I have lupus, and this has been good advice in approaching my disease as well. Have you ever considered that the problem isn't you? I always used to beat myself up all the goddamn time, and still do sometimes, for my mental health issues. One day a force came over me while I was thinking in the car, and I was compelled to say that out loud. It made me realize that if I had it my way, I wouldn't have feelings, thoughts, and emotions that lead me to self-destruction or to not live up to my own standards. The problem really isn't me, it's parts of me that I can't control. Changing my medication regimen really showed me that, because I feel so much better now. That was something I really needed to hear, and when I get into self-defeating thought loops, that memory automatically plays in my head now. Expect nothing. Prepare for everything. It lets my brain do its anxiety thing it loves to do in terms of going over all possible scenarios, but it pulls me back to the ground and in reality, because I also know these scenarios haven't happened yet, so it's useless to worry about them. But if they happen, I can react faster because I'm not surprised, caught off guard. I feel like this keeps me sharp, and this way I don't really have to fight my anxiety. Instead, I work with it, and it's actually been pretty beneficial. Firstly, be careful with whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. This advice is from everybody is free to wear sunscreen. Now to some of the advice I personally have gotten. There is a big difference between what you think and what you feel. No, you don't feel hopeless. That is what you are thinking. That is the word you choose to assign your feelings. And also, you feeling down and therefore constantly start reminiscing all the bad stuff is basically you singing the song you know to the basic and unrelated rhythm your emotions are playing. You may feel bad, but you don't have to reminisce about all the things you did wrong. That is something you choose to do, because that's what you are used to. Understanding that words are made up and can't accurately describe the emotions that you feel helps a lot. Your emotions are gonna show up whether you like it or not. But just let them play out without thinking too much, and they will go away like water under the bridge. If things get tough, don't distract yourself, take a breather, take time to yourself no matter how much or how little time you need, and the emotions will soon pass. You just have to be patient with yourself. Sometimes you gotta just jet a phrase my doctor told me often about leaving situations that were, physically, unhealthy. Later this was extended to include my emotional well-being. You aren't responsible for what other people feel or how they interpret what you say or do. You are only responsible for your own actions, words and emotions. My current physician, who is also a mental health counselor, there is no timeline for grief. You have to feel what you need to feel for as long as you need to feel it. My current physician. I was supposed to get more money from my boss, but actually, this did not happen. I was unemployed. My boss gave me the opportunity to prove myself. I was working hard. I was expecting more salary, but alas I was wrong, so I was a little bit disappointed. I was just facing some issues, so I learned that never expect. Just be satisfied with what you have. Do not think extra about tomorrow what will happen. Just pass your time and give time to your family. You can't find peace by avoiding life. Try your best every day. Some days your best isn't so great, but some days it's really, really good. But always try your best to forgive your past self. Start viewing the past as if it is a movie you watched. It's easier to separate that version of yourself from who you are today. I always had social anxiety and I was very awkward with conversations with anyone. It was because I was nervous of how other people would think of me, like if I was considered weird or stupid. One of my very good friends said to just not care what anyone else thinks. With this information I'm now much happier because I've been able to have closer relationships with other people and now I have less social anxiety. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility and you're allowed to feel mad, sad about X, but you cannot Y. One comes from Lapotal, hail yourself, and the other comes from Dr. Becky, who's on Instagram and is mostly a child, family therapist, but a lot of the stuff she says about managing toddler behavior is surprisingly applicable to adults. But basically, those two bits of advice have been really helpful in getting me to work on myself, be more in tune with my emotions, and work on expressing them in a more constructive way. Mine is from growing houseplants. They never complain how shitty their environment is or my poor growing skills. They use whatever is available and make the best out of it and be happy. It would not have touched me so much if it was just someone saying as an advice. I grew them from seed to harvest, and walked through every step my plants are taking. So it was much easier for me to learn this lesson. I stopped my binge online shopping from my PTSD and depression, and paid off all my credit card debt after I started growing. No more suicidal thoughts. I am very happy for the first time in my life. Growing plants filled my void I could never fill. Worrying doesn't change the outcome of your situation. It just makes you feel bad while you wait. If you absolutely cannot think of anything else, try to focus on potential solutions to the problem. Instead of constantly thinking, I have a problem, and I am worried, you tell yourself, I have a problem, and that problem has solutions. When you change your focus to potential solutions, you are much more likely to solve the issue than if you were just sitting around stressing yourself out over it. Pain is meant to be felt. It will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Metaphorically, in terms of struggling, someone drowning in 6 feet of water matters as much as someone drowning in 10 feet. Both are drowning regardless, and it doesn't make the pain less significant if you're in the 6 feet compared to the 10. Pain is pain, and it's valid to express it no matter what extent. H.O.P.T. equals hold on. Pain ends. You feel for a reason. Your feelings are valid and you matter. And the toxic relationships in your life if you can't resolve them. If there are people who constantly disrespect you or otherwise abuse you, you can choose to end the relationship. If you have talked with them about why their behavior is unacceptable to you and they refuse to listen, or if they refuse to simply meet you halfway to work out the problem and resolve it, sometimes ending the relationship is the best option. Just prepare yourself emotionally. Nothing hurts more than seeing someone you care about refuse to even meet you halfway. Older architect at a firm I worked with told me, never work more than 8 hours. He mentioned that every friend he had has had a divorce because architects give too much time to the job. So, as a young man when I graduated, I made it 100% known to every employer that I would not work over 8, and if they didn't respect that they could put me on hourly. Since I graduated in 2018, I haven't not once worked a weekend or more than 8. My friends ask how. I simply say set your boundaries. I let my skill and knowledge determine my worth, not the amount of time I waste. I'm a dad to an 18-month-old son who has recently been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. It stems from never wanting kids but knuckling down and trying my fucking hardest to give a decent quality of life for my son. And my brain just hasn't that eureka moment where it all clicks into place yet. I've been seeking professional help, but the one piece of advice wasn't given directly to me, but by the Scottish comedian known as Lemmy dished it out to his viewers on his live stream when someone asked him if he had any advice for a new dad to be. It can be the hardest thing in the world adjusting to be a new parent, and if you find it hard, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If you find it hard, then it's fucking hard, and allow yourself to not like it. Lock yourself in the toilet for a quiet moment and allow yourself to say this is pure shite, I hate this. And you know what, he's right, it is really hard adjusting to parenthood, especially when kids were never in your life plan. and it can be pure shite sometimes, like when you are up from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. with a sleep-regressing toddler, and your alarm is set for 6 a.m. to go to work. That acceptance to how you feel made dealing with everyone around me and my son so much better, and I'm still stressed out my box half the time, but at least I can calmly express myself now. Your feelings are valid, but they don't provide a result you can eat. Focus on what you can eat. What he meant was it is okay to feel what you feel, but acting on what you feel generally doesn't get you where you want to go. Safe, fed, warm, housed, etc. You shouldn't ignore your feelings, but you should act in ways that help you work through and past them and move on in a healthy way. Angry? Don't yell and scream. That doesn't get you where you want to go. Say, I'm angry and this is why. What can we do about that? Sad? It's okay to cry for a but then take action on what is making you sad. Everything is a death of some kind, so work the steps of the grief process. https://www.healthline.com/health/stages of grief. Frustrated. Say you are frustrated and why. Ask for people to do specific things on specific timelines, deadlines, to get you where you want to go. Finally, know when professional help is necessary. Substance addiction, you need help. Deep depression and anxiety, you need to reach out for professional help, and it is totally okay to do so. If you break your leg, you don't hesitate to go get help. The mind is the same and you may need help. Suicidal thoughts, please go here now. https://www.reddit.com/r/suicide-watch/. When you're anxious about something, put it on a catastrophic scale of 1-100, 1 being a 1 single strand of hair is out of place and 100 being there's a tsunami coming straight for your living room. If what you're feeling isn't so high on that scale, then maybe consider that it shouldn't mean so much in your head. Also, don't create scenarios that haven't happened yet, otherwise you put yourself through the stressful situation twice, the blown-up scenario you made up in your anxious little head, and the, usually not as stressful, event that has actually happened. That it's real. That mental illness is real. Of course it's all in my head. That's why it's called a mental illness. Doesn't make it any less of an illness, and should be treated as one. It wasn't until I realized that I wasn't a broken puss because I couldn't just get over stuff on my own that I got better. I had to be convinced it was actually real before I sought the help I need. You are in control of your own emotions and feelings. FYI, when people talk about boundaries, it doesn't just mean setting a red line with people that they must not cross. Boundaries are also about knowing where you stop and the world begins. You should not let your emotions be controlled by external forces. Pretend you're a parent with a child. It's a strange concept, but bear with me. When you talk to a youngster like that, if you were having bad self-talk, what would you reply to your inner kid if they were told they were an idiot, overweight, useless, or unloved? Make an effort to be kind to yourself. I'm making a concerted effort to do so, and this concept assists me in doing so. It's okay to be angry sometimes. For so long, I had held lots of angry feelings for years. I didn't want to show my feelings of anger because I was afraid of how I'd hurt people around me. I learned that I was only hurting myself by holding my negative feelings and smiling for those outside but feeling dead inside. Once I learned this, I was able to step away from the brink of suicide and examine myself and learn how to express my feelings in a healthy way. That way, I could still be positive as my nature is, but still be able to show anger at appropriate times. Don't give someone else control of your emotions. Other people don't make you mad. You choose to feel mad. Other people can't make you happy. You choose to feel happiness. It's fine to feel mad, sad, disappointed, etc. Even healthy to feel those emotions. Just always know that you are allowing yourself to feel those emotions because it's your body and not because someone else is making you. The best thing my mom ever said to me, I was crying in her arms in the psychiatric emergency room, again, after many trips back and forth, overcome with guilt of putting her through this. Seeing her daughter fall apart, hurting herself and losing more hope every day. I started apologizing, over and over again. She just held me, and said, "You wouldn't apologize if you had cancer. Don't apologize for this." It might seem small, but even now, over 10 years later, those words can still help me through a rough time. Be kind to yourself. You'll be fine, and you're okay. Your illness is just as valid as physical ones, and not your fault. If you were to have a broken leg, you wouldn't just walk it off. You'd splint it, or go to a doctor, or something external, not just try to work through the pain. The same should be true for your mental state. I refused pills or therapy for years because I thought it was just me not being good/strong/willing/hardworking enough. This thought changed my way of thinking and I got help. Changed my life. My mom has been a semi-functional alcoholic my entire life, and needless to say it left some deep scars. I spent years trying to pray it away, bargain, beg, plead, threaten, you name it, tried it, but to no avail. Then I started getting counseling since it was free and on campus. My counselor told me, it never felt as good as when I gave up hope. I always had this toxic hope that my mom would get better if always changed, but the unmeetable toxic hope still lingered. It took me several years to emotionally get to the point I could give up hope, but when I did, it changed my life and my relationship with my mom.